Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So on a recent episode, I talked about card prices that spiked because of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and many of you seem to enjoy that breakdown in talking about cards and why they started to go up in price drastically. Talking through the factors and about how in the future, if you see a brand new commander that gets spoiled and you might want to build around it, what kinds of cards you might want to pick up sooner rather than later. And speaking of factors, on this episode, I'm going to be talking about one factor in particular, that being this channel, with card prices that I accidentally spiked. Yeah, my bad on these. Before we jump into this episode, I do want to say I am never intentionally trying to spike card prices. These things do happen though, and let's jump into some instances and talk about why they happen. On that previous episode, I mentioned a fantastic resource, mtgstocks.com, and if you haven't seen that site, make sure you check it out. Regardless, the first card that I want to highlight on this episode is actually one that was recently highlighted on their site. And that card would be Dark Sphere, which at the time of that article that came out on this card, it was around $9, which was a 79% increase, from around, looks like around $4.50 or so. And as to why they highlighted that this card spiked, well, yours truly might have gotten a mention. In that bottom paragraph, it says, this card does see some play in Commander and recently got a little bit more attention by the printing of the reality chip, but personally, I don't really see the appeal yet. However, Dark Sphere has also been mentioned at the Commander's Quarters, where Mitch discusses a deck that uses Sickening Dreams to finish the game, where you discard sufficient cards to kill everyone except yourself since you have Dark Sphere that can be activated. The mentioning of this combo may have spiked additional interest in this card. So the episode that this article refers to is my 96 lands deck. That episode came out on March 7th, and we'll talk about how that date lines up with everything here in a bit. Regardless, in that episode, I talk about the actual combo that involves Dark Sphere and also the commanders that work with that combo, and if you want to check that out, go for it. But in this episode, I'll just quickly highlight the actual card itself. Dark Sphere is a very old card that has never been reprinted. I mean, this card came out back in 1994 in the dark. And with it being an old card, I'm going to read its Oracle text. It's an artifact for a 0 that has tap, sacrifice Dark Sphere. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent half that damage rounded down. So this artifact that you can cast for free can essentially save you from half damage on one thing. It's a card that sees basically no play in Commander except for very specific decks. And of course, that 96 lands deck that I mentioned is one of those specific decks that can utilize this very old card. Essentially, that 96 lands deck revolves around the commander, which again, as I mentioned, can be one of a few commanders, and then Ad Nauseam, Dark Sphere, and Sickening Dreams. You essentially cast Ad Nauseam, draw your entire deck, which is just all lands, and then Dark Sphere and Sickening Dreams. You lose 2 life because Sickening Dreams has a converted mana cost of 2. Then you cast Sickening Dreams to discard your entire hand, ping every single creature and every single player for a ton, but you can again, obviously, use Dark Sphere to make that just half the amount of damage to you. So the vast majority of the time, you can take your opponents out while surviving Sickening Dreams. Now again, out of the 3 cards in this combo, Dark Sphere has never been reprinted, and it is much older than the other 2 cards, and yeah, because of that, this card spiked in price. As you can see, the episode actually came out on March 7th, and then the card's price started to go up and up and up from there. At this point, the market price has been holding steady for, it looks like, a couple of days at around $10, and the average price is $20, so that is quite the increase. And just to be clear, and please correct me below in the comments if I'm wrong on this, but the average price is what it's being listed for on websites, and the market price is going to be what it has been purchased for recently. So at this point, it appears that the average price being well above the market price means that this card is being listed well above where people are willing to pay for it, at least for the time being. That being said, yeah, this recent spike was interesting and definitely one that I did not see coming, and with that, let's jump onto the next one that I did not see coming. And that would be with Child of Alara. And like Dark Sphere, again, this card was highlighted on mtgstocks.com, and in that article, yours truly was mentioned again. At the time, the increase for the card was about 122%, looking to go up from around $7 or so, all the way up to $16.75. And the paragraph reads, Child of Alara is a legendary creature from Conflux. Legendary creature means can be your commander. Child of Alara is, or at least has been, a popular commander in CDH, but this commander was also featured in a Commander's Quarters video last week. Now, that video, if you haven't seen it, is my 99 land commander deck, which came out back on September 29th, 2021. And just as the title says, the actual deck is literally just 99 lands and Child of Alara. There are actually very few commanders out there that can be effective in a 99 lands build for obvious reasons, but Child of Alara is a pretty potent one. It's a 6/6 avatar with trample that costs white, blue, black, red, green, so again Wooburg, and it says when it's put into a graveyard from play, destroy all non-land permanents they can't be regenerated. A little while back, the Rules Committee actually changed the Commander dying trigger for commanders, and basically now that these triggers work, Child of Alara is a much more impactful commander and can pull off a 99 lands deck. Essentially, you've got lands to get rid of your own commander, and then you basically can just wipe the board every 2 turns if you really want to. And again, you're destroying all non-land permanents, so it's going to be very difficult for your opponents to build back up again, and again, and again. You essentially win through attrition with this commander. And as I've said many times before in similar episodes, make sure you ask your playgroup if this is an okay deck for you to play first. A deck that wipes the board again, and again is not for every playgroup. That being said, again, it appears that many players out there either asked their playgroups or didn't but should have, because Child of Alara's price skyrocketed right after that episode. Again, that episode came out very late September, and as you can see, in October, that price went up and up and up. With that article, again, I believe it was listed at $16.75, and now it's up to $20 on average and $24 for market value. So again, my apologies for spiking this card's price. When I build decks that are a little more off the wall or utilize older cards, I am not intentionally trying to spike prices. And sometimes it just happens. But of course, when talking about prices and cards on this channel, there is one that I really have to bring up. And that, of course, would be Wayfarer's Bauble. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about Wayfarer's Bauble before, you are most likely new or newer to this channel, so hi, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Regardless, Wayfarer's Bauble is a card that I am well known for. It's an artifact that costs 1 and it has pay 2, tap, sacrifice Wayfarer's Bauble, search your library for a basic land card and put that card in play tapped, then shuffle your library. When my channel first started off, I heavily utilized this card in pretty much any deck that could use it. And it made so many appearances on the channel, and it was most likely the first card that I brought up in a lot of deck techs as well, so the phrase, first up there's Wayfarer's Bauble, was definitely something that I was known for. Now, I've highlighted this card in a lot of episodes, including one where I explain why I'm obsessed with Wayfarer's Bauble, so if you want to see all the reasons why I love this card and think it's a fantastic card in Commander, make sure you check that episode out. That being said, in including and highlighting this card in a ton of decks, its price definitely increased since the start of this channel. When this channel started, Wayfarer's Bauble was like a 12-cent card, and yeah, I could easily include that in essentially any budget deck. However, as you can see with this chart from mtgstocks.com, you can see that the card did not stay budget. Or at least I should say, in regards to the budgets that I set for my decks. So because of that, at one point I even made an episode where I said goodbye to my beloved Bauble. Its price had simply gotten too high to justify actually including it in decks anymore, and it was a very sad moment. That being said, on that chart you may have noticed a slight dip in its price, and while it was reprinted back in the Dungeons & Dragons set last year. Because of that, its price is now down around $2 or so, which is still out of my budget range unfortunately, but here's hoping that more reprints will be coming. And speaking of a Wayfarer's Bauble reprint, it basically was confirmed to be a reprint in Commander Legends 2, so yeah, I'm excited, and hopefully that actually ends up happening. So stay tuned for that. Again, that new Commander Legends 2 set, I believe it's called Battle for Baldur's Gate, comes out on June 10th. I am really hoping to see a reprint and to see Wayfarer's Bauble finally being a budget-friendly card again. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.